everybody, I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
Welcome
Leave
to
that in.
Worldview Finder, episode 30. This is a big Halloween episode because Halloween was yesterday. At the time of recording, it's way off from Halloween.
So we're 8 months out.
We're 8 months out. Halloween. Yeah. One of these times, we're going to double record, and then you'll have...
I'm going to have a baby, and you'll be like,
baby-
wait
you'll
a
have
minute.
Twin babies.
2 babies, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, when this airs, it'll be the day after Halloween. So how was your Halloween? Did you guys go trick-or-treating?
It was great. It was fun.
I did not.
I probably did not walk around at all.
Hey,
because-
this is like Halloween 2 years ago.
I know,
when
2 years
you drove
ago.
around the neighborhood with child.
With
Yeah, my
child.
Other babies in my belly.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So I thought we'd just talk about some Halloween things for a little bit, and then we'll get into some other stuff. Never Have I Ever. We promised you that. We'll do
Love that game.
I've been watching SWAT, so maybe we'll talk about that. And then Jimmy's done something he's never done before.
You may be done by
Never
the
have
time.
I ever even.
Oh,
See what we did there?
I see what you did there. So, and then of course we'll talk about what Florida's been up to.
And then if we have time.
Just
kidding.
If you have time, we'll talk about SWAT. Okay. So, so Halloween. So growing up, did you guys have any Halloween traditions, or do you have Halloween traditions now? Now that you have kids, you don't, but do you and Malia do anything special?
Well,
on
we
Halloween
did.
Time.
We did try to get some candy for the children, and then we have a gate in front of our house, and you have to go through the gate, and then you have our door. And we realized that if the gate is closed, no one cares enough to actually go through the gate and then to your door. So we had like 3 people, and then we started sitting out front. But then it got too cold, so we went back inside.
Okay. That was this year.
This year, yes, correct.
Tell us what you did.
You did.
Let me
this
predict the
year.
future.
So, but did you get more people when?
Yeah. So how our neighborhood is, that's how a lot of I guess we didn't get the memo, but a lot of the neighbors, they'll sit in their driveway or right in front of their house with their bucket of candy, and then all the kids will kind of go to all the different houses.
I've noticed that happening more. It's like people sitting out.
Oh, yeah, because like back in my day, you had to knock on the door,
I was a boy.
Yeah.
but now they don't. They just sit out there and throw the candy at you.
So you have a fence in your front yard to keep people out. So, little known fact: in Brazil, they most yards have like at least where we were when I was in Brazil. And this is the country, not Brazil, Indiana. But instead of going up to the doors and knocking, you stand out front of the gate and clap,
Oh.
Do they have
And
clapper
then-
lights?
and then they come to the door.
It wakes them up.
It was very weird. So I wonder if they do
That's
that
interesting.
when trick or treating. Stand out
I'm gonna
front
start there.
and
Stand out
clap.
front.
Have a sign that says
So-
"Please clap."
Please
Yeah.
clap.
Okay, so my conundrum for Halloween is like I want to be home and
Yes.
answer the door, but I also have kids that I have to take out. So what do you do?
Just let your kids go.
And last year we sent out a bowl of candy and it just got taken.
Yeah, same.
So
It's like that Liam Neeson
And
movie.
then even when we got home, it was like, well, now we've got to do bedtime
particular set of
routine.
sweets.
So I set out another bowl. Like I filled it back up and set it out. And all of a sudden I heard this loud clanging,
Oh boy,
looked outside the window, and there was a group of teenagers.
those
who-
teens.
They threw the whole bucket into the street. And it was like one of my nice like bowls from,
Wow.
it's like
Oh.
OXO or whatever.
Wow. Whoa, name dropping.
Those
Oh.
14-year-olds that are just angry at the world.
Did you go out and yell at them?
Well, yeah. So
Oh, yes.
I was sitting I was sitting actually right by the window so I could hear them.
Oh.
And they were like, take the whole thing or like grab it and run, all this stuff, and I was like, oh gosh. So I got up and I just like opened the door and they all were like running.
Get out of here, you kids.
And they like I just go, hey, at least give me my bowl back. You can have the candy. And that's when they threw it. So they were like throwing it back towards me, but it still
Ah.
like crashed in the street. and stuff.
Jeez.
So I wasn't like, get out of here, you meddling kids, or
Get
whatever.
off my lawn.
Yeah, I was just like, I need that bowl back because it's expensive.
Please,
Halloween.
that's my
And I was
only
like, I
bowl.
learned my I learned my lesson. I just need to put out like a plastic dollar bowl or something.
Yeah.
Hey, which you can get those McBuckets or whatever, the little Halloween pails from if you get a Happy Meal.
The big buckets.
Oh, well, they're there at Target for $1 now. So
Well, I got a Happy Meal with mine. So, but yeah. So growing up, I had a paper route, and so on Halloween, I had an evening route. That's back when they had not just one newspaper, but two. There was so much news happening in the world. There's an evening paper and a morning paper. This is before the internet, and so. So I would go out dressed as a paper boy, and I would go deliver people's paper.
You already had the uniform because
Yeah.
that was your 9 to 5.
I had my little satchel with the newspapers in it. I would go hand them their newspaper, and then they would give me a bunch of candy because they're like, "Oh, you're our paper boy." Thank you. And I was always late that day because I wouldn't go to every house. I would just go to my customers, but it still took a while to go door to door. And so the people got their paper after 5. After 5, you were late. And so, but one year we
this
got
is a classic
so-
shadowing story. So,
so yeah,
buckle
Adrian.
your seatbelts.
Adrian got it from one of her customers because you did paper out stuff too.
Yeah,
Which
That's what all these people doing paper
it
rounds.
was like our family.
she cheated, but
I inherited it from my older brother.
yeah, he had the bigger route. So Adrian went along and got some candy from her customers, and she got a full-size Twix bar,
Oh.
Double
double left and right Twix.
Okay, so
Yeah.
these were
This
middle
wasn't
upper
fun
class.
size.
king size.
Wow, so
Yeah.
these were rich people.
I don't know.
Back then, though, it was like not a norm for even rich people to do.
Really?
So it was
Okay, so they were like
it was like
royalty.
a ultra luxury
Yeah.
to get something that
They
big.
had a Lamborghini in the garage.
So
Yeah.
so we're having dinner. I think this was like the next couple days or whatever. It wasn't on Halloween, but I just you had your double Twix bar,
that
and
I had been saving and rubbing in your face
so yeah.
days.
She really had. It's like, oh man, my customers like me better than you. All this stuff. So she gives the left Twix to my mom, and then she has the other Twix, and she's like,
My mom ate it.
yeah.
Let's just put that out there. My mom ate it.
And so yeah,
I
because she's
had
like,
not eaten mine yet.
Here's half for you, and then she's like, Chris, look what I got, and like had her Twix and was waving it, and it broke off.
Oh my goodness.
So more than
not
half.
even half. It was like that tiny little piece that I was holding. Was all I had left.
and the big part dropped on the ground, and our dog immediately ate it. And
Oh my goodness.
I lost it.
just
All
died.
I had was this tiny little piece left.
And that she'd been bragging about for like days. And so I laughed so hard I went and threw up. I threw up.
So then I was like, oh, okay, well, this is revenge.
Oh my goodness.
Double revenge.
I couldn't stop laughing.
He
It was the
threw up.
funniest.
Yeah.
I laughed till I barfed. That's how.
He really did. He
Wow.
really did. Like, there's so many layers to that story, but yeah.
Oh man, it was great.
It was a bad day.
But so Halloween. So the worldview of Halloween. It's interesting being a pastor, like in the Christian world. You have kind of two minds with when it comes to Halloween. One is that it's great and fun, and you dress up and go have a good time, meet neighbors, all that stuff. The other one is it's the devil's birthday, and you
Devil's holiday.
All Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
Have you seen? I think it's a TikTok or a short where it's like a homeschool mom. She's like, "We don't celebrate Halloween, but we do enjoy dressing up and getting candy." Everybody in the comments like, "That's literally Halloween."
Yes, I saw a stitch of that where it's like she finishes saying that and then it's just like some deadpan guy's face. He's like, "Isn't that what Halloween is?" Like, it is so good.
Yes.
We don't believe in Halloween, but yeah. So yeah. So I don't know. Like, do you guys have any thoughts one way or the other? Like, I get it. I understand why people are like, "Oh, it's bad," because some of the roots of it. But originally,
Yeah, like I
it was
think
the
people's
All Saints
argument,
Day.
yeah, is like people think it opens a door to the underworld or what, or like lets a door open for Satan and all that.
yeah.
I am not of the mind that something like that would do it unless you are like, I'm celebrating this because I like being spooky and gross or whatever. Or like, on Halloween, let's celebrate by doing spooky things like play with an Ouija board or whatever, like
Right.
that. I'm like, no, but if for just going out and having fun and dressing up, then what?
No, sorry, there's something on my mic, and I moved it off.
And he heard it.
Just made a weird noise. Sorry.
Oh, okay. But like you said, like that lady is like, but I like dressing up and getting candy.
Yeah.
Now, John Chris did have a pretty good joke about this because he was talking about the Halloween thing, and he's like, I just imagine God up there. He's like, you know what? I had a plan for Christine's life. You know, she's 6 now, but then she put that Elsa dress on and went out for Halloween, and now she belongs to the streets. He's like, I gotta let her go now. It's like the song says.
Let it go. That's pretty funny.
And I think in different countries, like in the UK and stuff, it makes it's like different to celebrate Halloween there. It just has different connotations.
Like darker ones?
They got that
Yes.
El Dia de los Muertos.
Oh.
That's the Day of the Dead.
But as we know from Coco, that's celebratory.
Coco. As long as they make a good song about it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
That's not what it sounds like.
I got a new board game, Die of the Dead. And
It's called the Ouija board.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Dice. It's dice. It's your
Okay, it's like Ouija board with
And
dice.
Yeah,
no. It's
you're casting lots.
I'll take Jesus' shorts, please.
all the dice roll 6s. But no, it's about the Day of the Dead. But it's a dice rolling game. So I haven't played it yet. But
Well, good.
my
Just
friend
don't-
Jeremy gave it to me. Thank you.
Don't play it on a full
Shout out
moon
to
day.
Jeremy, he definitely.
Okay, but to my point, I feel like people open doors or let other, like how
Yeah.
that people like
So I keep my doors
Open-
closed on
yeah.
Halloween.
open doors
I'm not
to
opening doors to anything.
like demonic activity or whatever by a lot of other ways that people
Yeah.
Christians still practice without like realizing it.
We're looking at you, essential oils.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Like,
Your
like-
wife's witch crystals, her
Yeah.
rock salt lamps.
That's where she gets her power.
Okay, first of all, she doesn't have witch crystals. just to clarify that.
They're just normal
Okay,
crystals.
the salt lamps. What? That was bad.
That's where I get my power.
Yeah, you turn on and like get a little salt in the air. It feels like you've been at the ocean.
I
Yeah,
know,
but yeah,
just
I-
all of her
they're-
witch crystals.
they're-
They're like light up crystal lamps.
Oh my
Rock,
goodness.
it's rock salt, everybody.
know.
And Shepherd licks them. So my 6-year-old.
Of course he does.
But no, I remember like one of those things like, oh yeah, you're all against Harry Potter and all this stuff, and it's like, but you're mixing your potions with the essential oils and stuff. It's like that witch hazel got you now, Karen or whatever. It's like that's pretty funny. But yeah, so yeah, because a lot of times the people that don't like Halloween also don't like Harry Potter, and
It's true.
there's people.
Like anything dealing with magic or the occult or whatever.
But it's okay in Lord of the Rings and
Right.
Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. That
magic's fine.
magic's okay because that lady, the White Witch, is not good. We know that, but it's okay for them to have magic, just not anybody else.
Makes sense to me.
Christian magic is okay.
Right.
Shepherd's always like, Jesus did magic tricks. Like, no, he did.
You got to work on the worldview there.
He's
Well, he was still he's like that, but he's like
Gets the idea.
miracles are magic and people can't do those, but Jesus can. But he
Yeah.
doesn't say Jesus does magic.
He's a
Yeah.
magician.
and then
Got that sleight of hand.
Shepherd just trolls. He's like, oh yeah, Jesus came back on the 4th day. It's like, no, it was the 3rd day. It's like, no, he was in there 3 days and 3 nights, and then he rose on the 4th day. It's like, no.
Wait a minute.
I'm
Yeah.
still confused about
Check
that
the books. Check
timeline.
the books.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, you grew up reading Harry Potter,
Yeah.
and
And you're still kind of saved, right?
Yeah.
get those witch crystals.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, do you feel like that opened a door, or like, were you interested in the things of the occult from those, or was it
No.
just?
Definitely.
No, that's what I like. I think, like, I was just interested in the plot and the storyline, character development, and those things. When you look at them, are really no different than the messages of Lord of the Rings or Narnia's. Like,
Or the Bible?
yeah, good triumphs over evil,
Ooh.
and like the friendships and relationships along the way are what matters.
Mm. The friendship
the
we gained,
friendship.
we gained along the way.
So yeah, but so Halloween kind of to me is like is it bad? Like is there a bad worldview? And I think yeah, you can get into some like because at Salem, like I think they celebrate some of the darker stuff.
Yeah,
in Salem,
that's what I'm saying. It
Massachusetts.
really depends on where you are. Like I definitely feel like context is important. And like when I go to Lowe's right now,
Oh
and
my
I'm
goodness.
walking in between Christmas World and Halloween World, you can like really feel a difference. And
You're
it
choosing
was,
right or wrong right there.
yeah, and it seems like that because you've got like these things like shaking out of the grave and like these
And
really
then over here, you got
spooky-
Jesus shaking out of the grave.
Yeah. That's Easter,
That's Easter world.
but that's hilarious.
Oh wait, that's not Christmas.
But even like through the eyes of
Jesus
a
shaking out of
child.
the womb.
Oh gosh,
World. That's all right.
Oh gosh.
took a deep dive south.
Yeah.
So
Literally.
my daughter was walking in the Christmas aisle, and she turns the corner, and does that kind of like nope walk where she just like turns the corner, sees all the scary guys, and she's like, she just goes nope. And she turned around and went back to the Christmas, and I was like, yeah, like
She's
because
made her choice.
that's like what it's really scary and gross stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Yeah, I remember Pastor Brett one time talking about. He's like, Halloween is just one of those weird days where you can put spiked heads in your yard, and people are like, that's awesome.
This is art.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't do that any other time. I mean, because our parents, their neighbors, like have like a creepy graveyard with hands coming out and
Right.
stuff. But like, you couldn't do that in March. Like,
Right.
what is happening? in these
Ooh, is
people-
that
These
crazy?
people's lives. But yeah, so but yeah, we let our kids dress up and go get candy and stuff. But yeah, I don't. Your dilemma of do we go out with them? Or does one parent have to stay behind? But then you're like, oh, I get to go with my kids
Right.
and have good times. So I don't know.
See, all the parents should just go out with their kids, and then all the single people have to stay home, or the old people. They have to stay home and provide candy.
Yeah,
That's
That's
their
really what it is.
societal obligation.
Yeah.
it's your obligation. So growing up, did you celebrate Halloween and stuff? Did you
Yeah.
dress up and go get candy?
I think so, yeah. And then I feel like we didn't do it like once we got past like 12. I don't think we did it anymore. Is that pretty common? Once you hit 13, you don't do it
oh
anymore?
no, I was all.
You were 19.
Yeah. So we did it late.
I didn't.
Chris still does it by himself.
Is Quincy going?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
I don't know. So do we have a traditional meal? Do we eat chili? and-
Chili and peanut butter.
Oh, I'm not a
sandwiches.
chili guy.
So we do that with our kids. So Angela makes chili, and then takes a piece of cheese, and cuts.
And then she shakes the witch crystals over it
Yeah.
for good measure.
she cuts pentagrams into the cheese, no, like little jack-o'-lantern faces, and then puts the cheese on top,
Oh, that's cute.
and then we make mummy hot dogs.
Yeah, I was gonna say mummies has become a new tradition.
Ah, okay. It's like those little.
Biscuit dough, wrap it
Croissants.
around. Yeah, croissant, and wrap it around the hot dog.
Yeah, so I feel like that's replaced the peanut butter sandwich,
Ah,
chili, and
little mummy hot
Mummies.
dogs. I love my mummy. So, yeah, but I don't know. So again, like the worldview behind it can't. Like, if you dig deep, like yes, it can be bad, and so just be aware of that. It's like talk about those things with your kids. Like, hey, but it started as a All Saints Day, right? All Hallow or Reformation Day is what.
Yeah.
that's what. Yeah, that's what like Christians have replaced it. It's like, oh, it's Reformation Day. Was that the 31st or November 1st? I don't know, but they're like,
Let
oh,
us know in the comments when
I
Reformation.
think it's the same day.
but they basically have Halloween parties, but it's like we're having a Reformation party. Like, no, you're not. Don't lie about it. So, because at my old church, we weren't. There was a certain person that didn't like Halloween, so we're like, it's okay. So we had a not Halloween party, and I called it that.
Okay.
we painted pumpkins.
That's
and
like Elon Musk selling his not flamethrower.
yeah.
This is not a flamethrower.
So I just called it a not Halloween party. It was hilarious, and got away with it. So now I'm in a new church. That's what happened.
Funny how things happen.
and you're not there anymore, so
Yeah.
what happened there?
All right. Well, Adrian, never have you ever
Watched a show
on Netflix.
on Netflix until now. No. No, I wanted to bring this up because I finished it. Season 3 just released. It's Mindy Kaling's show.
Ah,
Um,
is she in it?
No,
Okay.
she's not. But it's about a girl named Davy, and it's a immigrant Indian family.
Wait, Mindy Kaling is Kelly from Lost. If people don't know,
Not
who-
from Lost,
I
from
mean-
The Office.
I don't know why I said off.
Kelly from Lost.
Kelly from The
Kelly
Office.
from
Yes, so it's a comedy, but Davy's a freshman, so we've kind of gone through each year with her, and like each season is a year.
Like freshman, sophomore, junior.
Yeah, well, I guess it was started her sophomore year because she's a senior this last episode. So it's
They
a
grew up so
comedy, but
fast.
she loses her dad passes away at one of
Spoiler
her
alert.
orchestra concerts. This is the opening of the whole show.
Okay.
Oh,
And she basically like kind of for her whole freshman year. So it is like they talk about what happened her freshman year. She couldn't walk and she was in a wheelchair. And so the show kind of starts with her not having to be in a wheelchair anymore, but it was all like an emotional thing where she couldn't. It was just like some psychological thing had happened to her.
is that real? Do people not walk as a trauma?
Well, for her, it was. But so she meets with a counselor throughout this entire, like all these 3 seasons. And she's basically like not a good kid. And she just has a lot. She's like very selfish, very self-absorbed. She has these 2 like best friends. But each episode is like, never have I ever like failed a test, and so that episode is about her failing a test for the first time, or like
Each episode kind of ruins it at the beginning. Like, oh, I know what this episode's going to be about and what's going to happen.
yeah. But the way that they do it, I handle it. But she always ends up learning something, and like meeting with her counselor kind of wraps up the lesson she's learned and her growth through that.
Oh, okay.
And she's also dealing with her mom living at home as like a single mom now, and not having a great relationship with her. And then so it's about their relationship over time. But as I was watching this last season, the thing is, it's like, I can't recommend it because it's a comedy, but it's very modern, like every possible modern thing that the world pushes right now is represented in this show. So I can't necessarily recommend it.
A lot of witch crystals.
Yeah.
Witch crystal.
There's not any witchcraft in it, I will say. But she prays to her Indian gods. Like they have a little shrine in their house, so she prays to them. But it's like very casual. And she'll be like, "What are my homies?" And it shows like the elephant or whatever. And so, because she's just like a modern high school girl, but she still like honors the traditions of her family. But anyway, this last season, the way it ended and wrapped up, I was like, you know what? She's had a lot of character growth, but also she's dealt with like a trauma of losing her dad. And I really appreciated how they treated that. And like, and her counselor kind of gives her a really nice like speech when she's about to leave, because she's not going to counsel her anymore when she goes off to college. And so I was like, you know what? There was a lot of growth, and her and her friends experienced a lot of things, and kind of in the wrap up of everybody, it very much feels like a finale of her, like getting closure with everybody she's dealt with. It was like really mature and good. And I was like, wow, in terms of character growth, this has been a really good show. And so I wanted people, like there's some kids down the street where they're just like kind of dealing with similar things, like they lost their dad. And so when she was talking to me about it, the girl down the street, I was like, she should watch this show. And I was like, no, I cannot recommend this show to her. So that was just really unfortunate in a way. Because and that's the same with comedy. Like what we were talking about is
Last week,
some of this stuff. Yeah, in the last episode, it's like some of this stuff is really good and it can help you sort through things. And I think that's what comedy is kind of about. It's like sorting through life, and kind of finding the bright side to it.
Yeah.
But when it's like peppered in with so much like either crassness or things you don't want them partaking in that they kind of glorify or highlight in the show, you're like, shoot, what do I do? Because it's like, I'm like, can somebody just make a really good show that has this growth and content?
Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
No, I mean, well, in Breakfast Club, like there's.
Yeah, but those are movies. This is like episodal, so it's like these very specific scenarios that high schoolers deal with.
Yeah.
And it's like how to deal with them in a healthy way or unhealthy, but they highlight that.
Yeah.
And then and like the growth that comes out of that.
So do you feel like it gets at some of the consequences of making bad choices?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So it doesn't glorify it necessarily.
It does some. Like, I
Okay.
mean, there's definitely like she starts having sex with people, like with other guys and stuff. So, and it's not ever seen as a bad thing in the show.
Yeah. And so, okay. Oh, man, that gets into a little bit of what I want to talk about with SWAT. But,
Yeah.
Florida. well, so the worldview, though, of it is that you can overcome adversity, like hardships in life,
Yeah, but you need.
counseling.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No, you need to like. Yeah, I mean, they do like they're very proponent of counseling, but also, like owning up to your mistakes, being able to be mature enough to say sorry or have a better reaction.
Yeah.
Because she used to just like throw and break things and stuff like at the beginning. And when she was mad, she would like go into her counselor's office and just like break stuff off of her shelves.
Good.
But by the end of the show, she's like obviously not doing that kind of stuff.
It's
And
breaking hearts.
yeah, she was dealing with her anger in like better, healthier ways. So yeah, it's about dealing with, I think anger is a big one, but also selfishness is a huge theme throughout the show of like, am I treating you this way because I'm selfish or because like you deserve to be treated this way?
Yeah. And that's what John Christ, we talked about him last week. Like, that's part of his story. Like, because after he got canceled and all that stuff, when he was in rehab, like it was a eye opener to him because he would he just told the story of, like, there was a volleyball game or something that all the people in there, because he like lived at a place for a while to try to get healthy and stuff, and so they're like, okay, volleyball starts at 5, and he'd show up at 5:05, 5:10, and the counselor person was like, why did you do that? It's like, oh, I was doing something else and just got, and like, no, that is selfish because you're saying everybody should wait for me, and like just kind of broke down, like, even you being 5 minutes late.
Well, Chris celebrated Halloween, and now look what happened.
It's those witch crystals.
It took my throat. And so, but it was that like idea of this selfishness that he didn't even realize he had until it's like, you being late is a sign of you think highly of yourself and not other people. And like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
So
Even when I was watching Never Have I Ever, there was an episode where I was like, oh, she's like acting normal. Like, this is a normal reaction. But she, again, talks to her counselor, and the counselor points out how that's actually a selfish action. And even I was like, oh, man, I didn't even think about it that way. And so then she goes and apologizes to that person and says, like, I was being selfish when I treated you this way. I was like, man, that was a great episode because I learned something today, like, that I didn't recognize that I do that in myself.
is there anything you need to apologize to me for?
Sorry that I teased you with that Twix bar.
Yeah. So speaking of being unselfish, the Florida foible, it's time for Florida foible. So
There we go.
but this one is a positive one. So this is Melbourne Village,
Wholesome content.
Florida. For over 30 years, there's been this. It's like a little walk through, I don't know, like woods or something. But they, with more than half a dozen tents and dozens of animatronics, one family's Halloween tradition has become a multi-generational effort to entertain their community at no cost to neighbors. And so they like have kind of like
That's
a little
nice.
area you can walk through. It's like a little Halloween kind of spooky thing and all this stuff. And so they just had set up, and then over time they got more and more stuff, and it became a big thing. But as you're talking about like Halloween and Christmas, so after Halloween, then they set it up for Christmas.
Do they?
Yeah, they have a Christmas one.
Oh,
So
look at that.
even as costs rise, the trail is still free.
Mm.
My mom worked 2 jobs and had children to take care of by herself. I think she started doing this stuff in her own yard because she couldn't afford to take her kids out to go see everything. So she made the adventure at home for her kids and everyone else.
Wow.
Oh,
That's a
that's
good story.
nice.
Yeah, and so they.
Wholesome content.
But
Look at you, Florida.
yeah, good job, Florida.
Redeeming yourself.
You
Yeah.
did totally redeem yourself. But I think with Halloween decorations this year were a little bit more crazy. I feel like
Really?
They're getting grosser.
well, not just grosser, but like more people have more stuff. Like in our
Yeah.
neighborhood, there's like a giant minion.
Oh,
pirate.
people love those giant skeletons.
Oh yeah, I saw one the other day. It's like 12 foot tall.
That's what I'm saying. It's like those that's like from Home Depot. They
Yeah, it's like
became
$300.
viral.
Me
Like
and Shepard
last
went on
year.
many 2-mile walks in our neighborhood because there's one like in the other neighborhood
Yeah.
that connects, and so it's a mile there and then a mile back, and we would go.
Wow.
We've done it several times.
Whoa.
A lot.
Getting your steps in.
Yeah, it's a 40. Our fastest time so far is 44 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
So
Have you heard about the Target one? The Target skeleton?
no.
He's like this animatronic skeleton that talks, but he'll say like, "I'm not."
Shop at
He's like,
Target.
No, he'll say, "I'm not a skeleton. My name's Alan." And this is like I can't remember the name, but it's like some really generic name.
My name's
And
Steve.
people were like, "What?" And they're so confused by it that it went viral, and people have it like in their house and all this stuff because they're like, "It's not a skeleton, it's Alan." Like,
Got me a 12-foot Allen.
so it's like kind of ridiculous and funny, but I don't know, it's just a wild thing. But yeah, but I feel like this year the trend I've seen is people like having their skeletons doing things,
Oh, I've seen.
Oh yeah.
like taking a bath or whatever. I don't know, but
What?
they're just like
One of them they're bowling in our yard, in
Oh.
our neighborhood.
in your
There's-
neighborhood.
there's some
Yeah,
bowling.
so
Wow.
it's like
But
kind
they're
of
not
the,
using the skull for the ball. Like that, I think
That's
was
a missed
miss.
opportunity.
oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, that's dumb.
There's another one that's dunking. Like they like hooked it to their basketball goal
Wow.
in the.
See, I appreciate that. That's not gory or whatever.
art.
It's just it's art. It's like Elf on the Shelf for Halloween.
Exactly.
Skeleton on the lawn.
Bellington.
I was trying to think of something to do. Couldn't do it.
Skull on the wall.
That doesn't rhyme.
Bones in the Jones. I don't know. I can't.
Jones's yard.
Tell us in the comments what should
What
the
would you name?
skeleton
Elf on the Shelf, but skeletons.
with skeletons. Yeah. So I don't know. Okay,
Bones on the Roams.
Jimmy. Well, I want to talk about SWAT.
Talk about squat.
Okay,
Squat.
the SWAT team. So SWAT. I started watching it. It's on Netflix. I think is it a CBS show. I don't know what. It's on some channel. I don't know. It's been on several years. So I'm starting right way back at the beginning. But what you're talking about, like with like character growth and stuff. What's wrong
Bless
with you?
you.
I'm only like 5 episodes in, but there's already like these really cool arcs of stuff happening. I was like, oh, this is actually it's a pretty well written show so far. But episode 1 starts off with like the racial tension between cops and the African American community.
Starting out hard.
Like, yeah, I know. I was like, oh, episode 1. Okay,
When does this show take place? Or like when was it made?
It's L.A. I don't know what season. I think it's still on TV.
Okay.
So, but this would have been. I don't know if it's season 5 right now. So 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. So it's still recent.
Yeah. So it's fairly recent. So, but they so it starts off like there's these gun guys and the SWAT team's trying to run them down. And,
Gun
but
guys.
they're like in the streets just shooting, and so the SWAT team's like shooting them. But they've like split up and stuff, and so one guy, the SWAT leader, is following this one guy, and the guy he's in the middle of an intersection, turns, fires at the cop. The cop jumps behind the car. The gunfire stops. He jumps up and just shoots. But at that point, a like black high school student was there, and so I don't know.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, and because I think he like
Literally.
because he was just he was running, and so he just shot because it was like that's where the guy was just a second ago, and so he shot, and then but he didn't kill the kid. Like so the rest of the SWAT team shows up, they help the kid, he goes to the hospital and all this stuff. But so the main guy, like the guy gets fired, the SWAT leader gets fired, and then they appoint. There's a black guy on the team that gets the position, but he like knows it's not because he did because so that night like he's like, hey, this guy's gonna take a leave, you're gonna, and he points like this white guy that would be next in line or whatever. So then the next day they have a press conference, and I don't know if he's a commissioner, he's not their direct boss, but he's over their boss. So he's like, hey, we fired that guy, and look who we're electing. Like, who's the new SWAT leader? It was this black guy, and the other guy got looked over because he's not black, and everybody on the SWAT team knew it was a publicity stunt and all this stuff. But he's like, he's like, I've got to lead. Well, so they kind of resolved that plot line or whatever, and then like the next episode, the commissioner guy's like, okay, we're gonna try to find a way to fire or like at least demote the black guy to get the white guy that's supposed to be in there. And so it's just interesting, like, because they're both on the same team, and they both know that guy got looked over because they were trying to repair things and stuff. And so I would say the only character, the commissioner guy, is one of those like characters of a person that you're like,
that guy doesn't really exist.
Yeah, you're like, this guy, I mean, he's so kind of slimy, and you're like, this isn't like a real, I feel like, because he's like, yeah, now that we've got that publicity thing out of the way, we can put this guy in play. And you're just like, I don't know that people
wouldn't talk like that.
Yeah,
really.
just the way that he's like kind of going behind his back and all that. And so, because there's another episode where there's like there's crime happening in this rich neighborhood, and there's like on the south side of LA, there's like a double homicide, and they still haven't found any suspects or anything, but there's like not much effort put into that. But these like rich families getting robbed, like they put a lot of resources behind it and stuff. And so the guy's like, well, the commissioner's asking about it, and so we need to get this done. And like, it's like, yeah, but this is going. He's like, well, these are the people that we. And then you're like, okay, but
Right.
but other than that, like the other like lines through it are really good. But one of the things that because you're talking about with the Never Have I Ever, like, I mean, the first episode, the main guy, the black guy, I forget his name, Deacon's but he's like him and the chief are sleeping together, and so she's like, but it starts out like it's pretty early on in the episode. They're like, oh, she's like, we've got to fill out a paper, like, because we're dating in the workplace, and so they're like, full disclosure or whatever. And she's like, but I'm trying to figure out what we are, because she's like, we're more than just, this is just a fling because you have a toothbrush here now at my house, and like different stuff, and you're like, yeah, but it's like, you don't know what you are. Like, you guys have been like obviously together a while. If you're like
having toothbrushes at your house,
yeah, and like his own drawer or what, like, but it's just what you said, like it's like so flippant of, and that's the like the worldview nowadays is that like dating and sex are synonymous. Like, there's no separation. Like, in living together, like it's all part of this thing. And like now, like biblical worldview is like sex is a sacred thing between a husband and a wife in a committed marriage relationship. And so it's like that is so far gone. Like, it's not even a like, oh, this is taboo. Like, the only thing is taboo about it is that like they work together. And so they have to kind of.
Well, it's interesting. I think the biblical version of it, I think, is becoming the taboo.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you guys, you waited till marriage, you're married, and then you plan on staying together the rest of your lives, and you only want to do that with your spouse.
Yeah.
I think that's not the norm.
When people make fun of like virginity, like of waiting till marriage, like was it in that show? Did they make fun of it? Like,
no.
Okay. So like, but there's never have I ever done it with.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely was.
Oh yeah.
And so, but did people like almost pressure her into it, or was it like, oh, you haven't done this, or?
No, it was literally some guy gave her like a coupon. That was like
a coupon for it, or just a coupon in general.
He literally said,
he gave me
free boink.
So, yeah,
and then she just like one night goes over to his house and she's like, I need to redeem this.
Oh my gosh! I thought it was like pizza coupons. He got me a large pizza for $10.
But there definitely were consequences to that. Like, she really did like him and he really did like her, and it was all like they were both treating it super flippant, but it ended up not being, and like it affecting their relationship with each other, but also with their friends and things like that. So there were consequences, but it wasn't like this was wrong to have done.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, our relationship is maybe more serious than we thought.
Yeah, and that's why I like Stranger Things season 1, because there were consequences to her. So, like, 2 of the characters engage in sexual activity, like they.
What?
But there's consequences to it. Like, it shows the consequences, and like some pretty, like, he says mean things about her, and like, it doesn't get into that, but like the emotional consequences. That's what we talk about in Truth Talk. Like, there's the emotional side of it and the social side of things, because he starts saying things about her and like writing stuff and like that guy kind of is a jerk, and then becomes the greatest character in that.
Oh my goodness, the whole show.
But yeah, and so season 2, was it 2 or 3, where like it kind of happens again, and then it's just it's like just treated flippantly, and it's like, oh man, because rarely in a show does it ever show consequences of that. Like it's just like, oh, this is just a part of life, and you did it just like everybody else, and who cares? But that one actually showed like, oh, this is something that mattered, and it was important, and it should have been something better than it was, like, and all that stuff. And then it showed some of the consequences, which I appreciated. But
she died.
But in this show, it's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like it's not anything. I don't think she did, but her friend did. But it's those kind of things that you're like, the world pushes that so much that it's like it's just a normal thing, and to not do it. It was what you said is like, oh, that's the taboo thing, and it's like, why, how did that even happen?
Yeah,
adultery used to be a crime. Like you
used to be a crime.
Get thrown in jail for it. Yeah, and now it's like,
or killed, stoned.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about
people are getting stoned and doing adultery.
But SWAT, like, I mean, it's got some cusses and stuff, so I would watch it.
Some cusses and stuff.
I'd watch it ahead of time before
Swears.
you watch it with your kids. But it tells some good stories. And what I did appreciate, because the episode I watched last night, was they brought back that kid from the first episode that got shot, and like they're showing like how he's really struggling with being shot. No, like that he's like distrusting now, and he's a high school student, but he like his mom found a gun under his bed, and he's like, I don't feel safe anymore. Like I got shot by a policeman, and so he's like, who's gonna protect me? And so it's just him like wrestling with some of those things. And the way I felt like they've dealt with it in a way that's not just the super political, like you have to do all this stuff. Like they've got some of the nuanced stuff. And yes, they do have that one character that's like, okay, you're kind of not real, but the rest of it feels kind of like, oh, this is how we deal with this stuff. And yesterday's episode was about bullying, and it went in a way that I was not expecting anyway whatsoever. It was pretty interesting, like how this girl is getting back at her friends. It was crazy. So, but I'm late for my meeting.
You're late for your meeting.
I texted, so we gotta wrap this up. So hope you had a fun, safe Halloween or Reformation Day, whichever.
Happy Reformation Day.
I dressed up for Reformation Day and got candy, just like Martin Luther did. So instead of giving candy, they go and nail the 99 Thesis to the doors.
You nail candy to the
They love that.
doors.
I see you're a sinner.
Here's some candy.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us on Worldview Finder episode 30. This
30.
is number 30. It's older than Jimmy. So
much older.
I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
We'll see you next time.